All right, everybody. Hey, welcome in another episode of From the Bench to the Mic. I'm your host, Jonathan Holmes. Hey, we're playing a little bit of catch up. I was gone for about a week, out doing some duck hunting, more like shouldn't even say duck hunting, more like duck watching. Didn't see a ton, didn't get a lot of action, but that's okay. Feeling a little bit under the weather, so we're just in recovery mode from that, but. Don't worry. Watch some hoops, man. Watch some great games. Obviously can't cover all of it after missing the weekend podcast. So I don't want to go through all of it and give you guys my opinions on each game. I mean, I've got a few that I want to walk through for sure. Some of the big headlines from the weekend, and then some things that I've just been noticing over throughout the beginning of the first half of this season. It's college basketball is just so crazy. I think it's so wild. That's why I think it's the best sport in the world. You never know who's going to go down on any given night. It's just so random. It's so hard to predict. I mean, like Arkansas got spanked by Auburn over the weekend, lost by 20 plus. Michigan, of course, losing. I mean, it's just so hard to walk through and just say who's going to win, who's going to cover the spread. I know it's not meant to be easy. That's why everybody would do it and everybody be successful. I just think college basketball is just so much different than college football and NFL, NBA. I think it's just so different. So I love it. That's what I love about college hoops is anybody on any given night can show up and beat you down if you're not ready to play. Can't take nights off, especially when you get into conference play. So I remember Mike Anderson always telling us that it's, you get into the brotherhood, you get into the family. Everybody's going to show up and give you their best. And if you don't show up and give your best, man, you're going to get embarrassed in front of some people, whether you're on the road or at home. So you better not do it at home. That's when you start seeing ticket sales, skadoosh, fall to the floor. It was always one of those things where you wanted to win at home, of course. Continue to get people to come back and want to watch it and see those ticket sales rise. But yeah, again, I digress a little bit. Let's get into it, man. We got episode 19. We're going to keep this thing rolling until the wheels fall off. I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Give me a follow on Instagram. Give me a follow on Twitter. Apple Music, Spotify, all that stuff, or Apple Podcasts, whatever it's called. All of that good stuff. So got some Big East basketball going on right now. We got Providence and Seton Hall. Providence and Villanova. Kevin Willard really getting Nova turned around. Excited to see these two teams in action. Kim English, of course, the coach of Providence. Very, very excited to watch this matchup. But anyways, biggest topic of the weekend. Michigan finally goes down. This feels like the great giant of college hoops where Michigan was beating everybody and their mothers by 40, 30 plus. I mean, ranked teams, conference team, non-conference, they're beating everybody. Nobody could stop them. They had no holes in their roster. Cadeau, Landelberg, Morez Johnson, Ade Mara, Trey McKinney, all this stuff, man. They were loaded. And then Wisconsin, walk into your trap, take over your trap. Huge performance by the Wisconsin Badgers. And of course, I was with my buddies watching this game, and they don't follow college hoops quite like I do, and they're like, "What's Michigan all about?" And of course, I said they're the best team in the country. They got no issues anywhere. They're the best team, and of course they lose. But you deserve to lose when you give up 15 threes to Wisconsin, who doesn't necessarily shoot the ball extremely well. I think they're like 220th in three-point shooting. Shot 45% from three against the Wolverines. Michigan also blew a 14-point lead. Ended up losing 91-88 to the Badgers. Nick Boyd with 22, who's actually been on a bender recently. He's been on a complete tear. The last 3 games, he's averaging about 22-ish a game. He's got 22, 20, and 24. In his last 3, 2 of those ended up being wins for the Badgers. So, I mean, I talked about it on a few episodes, few episodes ago about Wisconsin, and this can be a season-turning win for the Badgers and going into Big Ten play, because I think they're better than what their record shows. They've got some talent there. Nick Boyd, of course, leading the way. I think they play great fundamental basketball. The Badgers historically have always been a great program, very solid. They were ranked in the top 25 preseason, and yeah, of course, hasn't really had a big marquee win just yet. And they finally got it on Saturday against who I was led to believe to be the giant of college basketball. But again, 15 threes from Wisconsin, 15 of 33. That's 45, almost 46%. It's a season high for them, which I wasn't shocked. But maybe teams have found Michigan's kryptonite. You make the three ball, you shoot the three ball well, maybe you end up beating them. Because then every other category, it looked like Michigan should have won the game. I mean, they had a 14-point lead in the first half. I thought it was over. I'm like, here goes again, another 30 piece. Not the case. Not the case. Wisconsin was able to battle back, keep clawing away. They didn't step down from the challenge. They were desperate for a win, and not desperate for a huge win, a big marquee win. And I think that could be a season-changing win for the Wisconsin Badgers. So that was my biggest shock of the weekend. I didn't think that Michigan was going to lose until they got to the Michigan State game, which I believe in a couple weeks. They go to East Lansing. I thought that'd be their first loss, but Wisconsin, huge shout out to the boys from Madison, jumping around all you want, man. Celebrate that sucker. So Michigan going down gigantic. And I'm going to walk through the rest of the unbeatens here in a second. We got 5 teams that haven't lost yet. I want to tell you guys who I think is going to be the next to lose. And then the who I think is going to be the lose, and the last team that I think is going to end up with a blemish on their record. So we'll dive into that here in a second. But next, I want to talk about KU and Daryn Peterson. I'll walk through it here in my next segment. But first, let me get you guys out to my sponsor. Check it out, merch in the building, Bench the Mic hat. I've got stickers, all the above, not the all the above, those two things. Of course, shoot me a text. Let me know if you want one. I don't have a price on them just yet. I want to see if anybody draws some interest, but got a little bit of merch going, man. It's kind of fun. Turned out pretty well. Fits really well. Kind of a high riser, flat topper, trucker build. I can get different colors, all that stuff. I got red on right now, but go any colorway y'all want. Just let me know. We'll get it to you as soon as I possibly can. So, but yeah, first message from the sponsor, and then we'll talk through KU and Daryn Peterson. That last segment was brought to you by 57 Cards, 57 Sports Cards, man. My buddy Augie, really good buddy from back home. Dude is a rock star. If you got anything from a trading card perspective, mostly sports, give him a follow on Instagram. I will drop his username right here for you. Again, a very, very solid dude. One of my best friends from growing up. He's got a great sports cards collection. I'm sure he's willing to trade. He's willing to sell. I would imagine he'd be willing to buy as well. If you got something that you're looking to move. He's got a great NBA collection. Huge LeBron fan. Shout out to the Lakers. He's awesome. He's very, very negotiable. They're not going to rip you off. So go check out his store. Check him out on Whatnot. He's got a lot of great stuff coming up, and he's already done a lot of great stuff for some people. So 57 Sports Cards, Augie, shout out to you, brother. Love you, kid. And go give him a follow for all your sports cards needs. All right, Kansas and Daryn Peterson. So just a few of my thoughts on this. I'm not super impressed with Daryn Peterson. I think I've been saying that for a few weeks now. Yes, he's got all the accolades and all of the characteristics to be a great NBA player. But am I taking him in the top 1, 2, 3 picks? If I'm an NBA GM, no, I'm good. I'm probably gonna stay away from him. Why? Probably wondering. I mean, he can score. That's what the NBA is all about. You can build around him. Yeah, you definitely could. It's definitely a lot harder, in my opinion. I personally would rather have somebody with maybe a little less talent, maybe a little less ability to score the ball, but somebody that I know for a fact, build a team around, and everybody's going to enjoy playing around him as well. KU is a perfect example right now. They brought in Daryn Peterson. It's just been a weird situation with him and his injury and the minutes and the attitude, in my opinion, things like that. I watched the TCU game last week, and it was so funny to me because Kansas was winning pretty much the entire game. TCU storms back. It was a close game. I wouldn't say they were winning the entire game. It was a close game. TCU ends up going on a little bit of a run. They get ahead. Kansas ends up coming back in the final seconds here. But what was super interesting was Kansas ended up winning overtime. But what was interesting was at the end of the game, Daryn Peterson was in there for the offensive parts of the game when they had a chance to either take the lead and or tie. But when they were losing and they didn't look like things were going too well, he was out of the game. So I don't know what is going on in Lawrence. I don't like it. If I'm an NBA GM, I'm staying away from Daryn Peterson, in my opinion. It just straight up. I think AJ DeBonza, everybody loves playing with him. You don't hear anything negative about him. Cam Boozer, same way. Everybody loves playing with him. Good things about him. I even think Keaton Wagner would be great. I think he's so solid. Bennett Sturts is phenomenal. Donovan Dent, phenomenal. Everybody loves playing with these guys. Yaxel Landenborg, Elliot Cadeau, Caleb Wilson, some of these other dudes that I think you can build around and start an NBA franchise, especially if you're, the Wizards and the Pelicans and blah, blah, blah. You've already got some young pieces. Maybe just be a couple pieces away from being a playoff team. But I just don't think the chemistry's there with Daryn Peterson. I don't think anybody likes playing with him. I think he's caused way too big of a headlines in the offseason, or not in the offseason, but during the season. I mean, he's averaging 21, just over 27 minutes a game. Very inconsistent. A lot of it's in the first half where, the game's not necessarily won or lost in the first half, so he's kind of just out there playing. Scores all of his points in the first half. He's an elite scorer. He really is. Reminds me a lot of Devin Booker. So solid. But what's super interesting, I saw this stat today. With Daryn Peterson, they're 4-3. Without, they're 7-1. And I saw that, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, that's a weird, interesting stat line. But I watched the Duke versus Kansas game where Peterson did not play. Kansas looked phenomenal. Trey White was the head guy. They played great team basketball. They played for one another. They didn't care who the heck scored. They just wanted to get out there and get a win. They played hard under Bill Self. And I think that's exactly what Bill Self wanted them to do. And now you insert a guy like Daryn Peterson, and everybody kind of takes a step back. You add in such a elite level scorer that everybody wants to just kind of succumb to him and take a step back. And you don't really want to see that as Kansas. But if you're thinking to yourself, why in the world is Daryn Peterson even playing and to begin with? You're 7-1. You've competed with the top dogs. You have talent outside of him. Why are you playing Daryn Peterson at all? Hey, if he's really wanting to rest this much, let him rest. Let him rest. Let him sit out. All that stuff. You play much better basketball without him. Numbers are proving it. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Bill Self wants to do, especially with, oh, heavens. Providence put a big-time poster on Nova. I don't know these dudes' names, but that was big time. Jameer Jones. Tough. Okay. But anyways, I'm not a big fan of Daryn Peterson. I'm also a little bit biased towards Cam Boozer. I think AJ DeBonza is the best player in the country. And I think the only, I've talked to some people about this, but I think the only reason why he is playing is because he's realizing other dudes that are competing for that number one pick, that top 3 spot, are playing lights out. And they're playing their way into the top 3, into that number 1 position. Everybody's playing at such an elite level that they're forcing Daryn Peterson to play. Because That's just my thing. I think that's the only reason why he's playing. He's playing just enough to give NBA teams a sample size. He's showing what he can do from an offensive perspective. But I think those other things that don't show up in the scorebook, I think those are factors you have to consider for an NBA team. And that's just the way she goes. I want a dude that people enjoy being around. Fans love to interact with. People, look up to him as a leader, want to follow, things of that nature. So that's my take on Daryn Peterson. Let me know if you disagree, agree, what your thoughts are. Would love to chit-chat about it. So, but now, we're going to talk through Utah State. Another walk in your trap, take over your trap situation, man. Talk to you about that here in just a second. Utah State, baby, the Herd, the Aggies, having off to a phenomenal start to the season. First half of the year has gone so well for Utah State. Leading the Mountain West right now, tied with San Diego State, 5-0 in the Mountain West standings. Most certainly a March Madness team that's going to be able to compete. I don't think they're not a Final Four team by any means, but you make a run, get to a Sweet 16 type of deal, team that can kind of scare you. I think that's definitely for sure on the table for this team. But anyways, they beat the brakes off Boise State. Ended up winning 93-68. Worst loss under Leon Rice for the Broncos, who's had a very disappointing season in my opinion. I believe they were projected to finish atop of the Mountain West. I'm gonna say win it, but finish atop of it. Have had a disappointing season, didn't do well at Maui, and just haven't been able to get on the right track. But anyways, worst home loss under Leon Rice. That's in 16 years. Now, why in the world? Why was it such a bad loss? So Boise State did this thing where they announced on social media, "Hey, students are back. We may have a low attendance on crowd. If you have a student ID of any sort, elementary school through college, you get into the game for free." So word got out, of course, exploded over social media, and Utah State's fans, also known as the Herd, Hurd, very passionate fan base, like one of the best in the Mountain West. I mean, very underrated when it comes to across the country. But the Herd saw that, and they said, "Hey, let's raise some money. Let's get some students out there, and let's try and make this interesting." So through donors and the school and fundraising, whatever, they raised over $3,000 for 120 students to head out to Boise, Idaho, which is like a 4.5 hour-ish drive for them, which isn't awful when you consider how strawed out the West Mountain Range is. So 4.5 hours is totally doable for these guys. They bought a ton of tickets for 120 students. They all show up, Boise State, and then they end up just taking over the crowd. Boise State's friends did not show up. Utah State ended up roaring, totally showing their passion and all that stuff. Just such a cool story because you love to see the passion of college basketball still there, especially in these smaller market schools, to where you're able to just send a bunch of students to the home teams or an away team's crowd and make a bunch of ruckus. Reminds me of the high school days of, a bunch of kids getting on a bus and having a fan bus and shipping them to wherever we were going to play. And, they were just as loud, if not louder, than the actual home crowd there. So very cool story, very interesting. The Herd, Utah State, off to a great start, 5-0 in Mountain West play. Be on the lookout for them in the top 25. I believe I think they already are. I believe they're in 23 right now. But Utah State, phenomenal. We love this. The Herd, Mountain West hoops, again, crazy conference. So that's another thing that I've learned. Don't go to bed when Mountain West is going on. Don't go to bed. You're going to miss something great. That's for sure. So, all right. I wanted to drop that little nugget in there for you guys. Now, we're going to talk through unbeatens. The unbeaten teams of college basketball. We've got 5 teams left. Kansas, Iowa State, Nebraska, Vandy, and the Red Hawks of Miami, Ohio, the MAC, 16-0, cooking. So people have been asking me like, and are these teams legit? Is Vandy legit? Nebraska legit? You know, what's all this all about? Absolutely. Nebraska ball is 110% in fact legit. Fred Hoiberg got the dudes hooping, call themselves Nebraska ball. I love it. They get after you on the defensive end. They love to shoot the three. They play efficient basketball. Rank Mast is just a baller, international dude. Sam Hoiberg, stud. And then they've got some other role guys that really they just know how to play team basketball, know how to play alongside each other. So fun. Arizona has been a complete wagon. Koa Pete, Jaden Bradley, Braxton Burrius, they've been rolling. Iowa State with Jefferson and Milikovic or something, whatever it's called, international guy, dude's a baller. I can never pronounce it correctly. Iowa State's got Kansas tonight. That's going to be a fun one to watch. I think they end up rolling KU. I don't think KU's as good as people have said, especially if Daryn Peterson is going to be playing. Vandy, my buddy and I, we've been arguing about them. They're totally legit. They have a great one against Florida this weekend that I think will really test them out with Florida's size. That's going to be a fun one to watch. And then Miami, Ohio, and the MAC just rolling. So, okay. Who have I thought that... I'm sorry. Let me start that over. People have been asking me, who do you think is the next team to lose? Because I would have thought Michigan was going to go undefeated this entire time. Thought Michigan was going to roll. It was going to be one of those just... They were going to be like the Kentucky team with I think 2011, 2012 Kentucky team. Figured that was... all right, I'm really liking this segment. I thought it would be a team just like that. But next team that I think is going to lose is going to be Vandy, I think. As legit as I think they are, the SEC is just so competitive this year. On the 20th, so a week from today, they play Arkansas in Fayetteville. And Bud Walton will be rocking for that one. I know people would just be like, and Checky, I can see they got the hog football. So I think they're totally gonna. I think they're gonna walk in here, and I think the atmosphere is gonna get to them. Darius Acuff and Tyler Tanner going at it. It's gonna be fun. Tyler Nickel, Billy Richmond. Just gonna be some great matchups alongside with that game. Very excited to see that. But I think Vandy's the next team to lose. That's gonna be on 120. But Vandy, they're top 20 in steals. If they get after Arkansas defensively, obviously can go a completely different way. Next, Nebraska plays at Michigan on the 27th, a week after that. They don't turn the ball over. Michigan wants to play in transition, wants to get after you defensively, but Nebraska can shoot the three ball pretty well. That could be a slip up, but I also could see them walking into Ann Arbor and getting a W. And then Arizona and Iowa State don't really have much competition in the Big 12 leading up to their games against BYU. And BYU, they got Arizona on the 26th, Iowa State on the 21st of February. So I think those are maybe the next time that those two teams lose. So I got Vandy losing at Arkansas on 120. I think that's going to be a fun one to be at. Miami, Ohio, they don't really play. I mean, they play the MAC. I think that they're going to steamroll at the MAC. They look phenomenal. Their toughest competition was Akron, and they've already played Akron on the road. Or I'm sorry, at home, got a dub. Don't play them the rest of the year. So I think Miami has a very, very great chance of going undefeated this season. And people are gonna be like, dude, yeah, they haven't played anybody. But I was talking to my brother earlier. Good teams find a way to win ball games. And they win ball games, and they're smashing people. They're playing so well. If they weren't any good, they would have bound to have slipped up by now. 16 games in the season, you're over halfway through your season. They would have found a way to slip up by now. So I think they're legit. I'm all on the Red Hawk train. So give me Vandy to lose next. I think Miami can to possibly go undefeated through Maction. And then give me Nebraska maybe to lose at Michigan. But I don't know. Wisconsin might have figured out how to beat Michigan, and Nebraska can definitely do exactly what Wisconsin had done on Saturday. So yeah, unbeatens, man. They're all good. It's a great college basketball season so far. We're loving it. Arizona's just clear cut number one. Yeah, it's great. It's so great. So I'm gonna talk through Saturday slate, man, and I'll kick you off into the rest of the week, and I'll get back with you guys on Friday. So let's jump into the Saturday slate. All right, Saturday slate, baby. We've got some great matchups. Super Tuesday, of course, going on right now. A lot of great games happening tonight. But talking through Saturday, there's 4 games that I got my eye on. Florida at Vandy. I know it's not in Gainesville, so people are going to be like, well, they beat a team at home. They got to beat a team on the road. I don't care. Vandy and Tyler Tanner, Tyler Nickel, Mark Bennington are just great. They're so fun to watch. So Florida versus Vandy, I would love to see Alex Condon, Thomas Howell, Boogie Fland is playing a lot better, Xavier Lee. I think that's going to be a really fun matchup for Vandy. A little bit different style basketball that they haven't really seen yet. So I'll be curious to see how the Commodores, how they match up with Florida. And I think that could be a really fun game. So Florida versus Vandy is my number one watch of the weekend. Arizona at UCF. Now, I know I said Arizona doesn't really have competition leading up to the BYU game here in a couple of weeks, but Johnny Dawkins and UCF are scary, man. They can get you. They play at home. They play well at home. You go to Space, whatever, Space U, I think is what they call them in, the Knights. This could be a potential upset. Looking ahead to BYU. It might be a little bit of a trap game. UCF can slide up and get you. So Arizona versus UCF, that's going to be a fun one to keep an eye on. I probably won't watch it, but definitely be keeping my eye on that one. Arkansas at Georgia, another top 25 matchup. See if Georgia's actually for real. That'll be an interesting one to check out with how fast both teams like to play. Both teams love to score. That'd be one that the over on. Teams love to shoot the three, love to play with pace. So Arkansas versus Georgia, an SEC matchup. And then finally, last but certainly not least, BYU at Texas Tech. Cougars traveling into Lubbock. AJ DeBonza against JT Toppin, Rob Wright, Christian Anderson, Richie Saunders. This is going to be an elite matchup for the Big 12, and I think something that can really define Texas Tech's season. BYU, I think I think they've already really proven themselves, but Texas Tech, I'm still just kind of waiting for them to get one more great win. I think this would be an awesome one to get at home against a top 10 opponent in the Cougars. But BYU versus Texas Tech, that would be an excellent one to watch. A lot of star power in there, a lot of NBA draft potential. So if you haven't had a chance to check out any Big 12 ball, that is going to be a prime example of how the Big 12 has been going. So BYU, Texas Tech, Arkansas, Georgia, Arizona versus UCF, and Florida versus Vandy. Those are my 4, man. And we'll get back to it on Friday. Hey, listen, I appreciate everybody tuning in, checking it out. Hit the subscribe button, give me a like, give me a follow. I know we had a lot to squeeze into this one, but we'll get back to it on Friday. And we have a lot of great hoops coming up, especially Super Tuesday. Enjoy tonight. Enjoy the rest of the week. I'll talk to everybody on Friday. Peace.